not going to sit there and catch the fish and expect them to be there. We got out and we waited, and there was 160 or 170 boats, and they launched them off 10 at a time. Well, I wasn't smart enough. I didn't make up my mind soon enough to get in the top, 50 boats to go launch out. So my boat, I got a 150 horse Johnson, and that's a 22-foot boat. So she'll go about 35 miles an hour, maybe 40 if the wind's right. But I ain't flying by any means. And they launched us off. We ran down to our honey hole. There was guys on both sides of it already anchored up. So we went to our plan B. Somebody already there. We went to plan C. Somebody there. And we're like, crap. So we had started from scratch and said, let's just start dragging baits. And, we got up under some barges and we caught a few fish and we started dragging baits. We learned some. We had a good time. But, we didn't place very well. It was our first time down there.
Are you going to do it again this year? Or
Absolutely.
So you're going to take Skip with you?
If last year's partner isn't locked himself in, I will.
There you go, Skip. Just knock that other guy in the head, you'll be all right.
Yep.
I have to take Herb out.
We do have another tournament coming up in Kentucky. It got pushed back. It was March. I think it's in August now. Kentucky, called the Bluegrass Catfish Bash. It's kind of a different one, but it's a real laid-back tournament. It's not real fancy. I really like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I can talk Terry into going.
There you go. That'd be the ticket.
You don't want to fish against me.
Yeah, well, Roger, I'm sure you haven't taught him all your secrets, right?
No, I'm an open book, man.
He is. He's an open book. He don't hide nothing.
So
I did teach him something, though. And
yeah?
We'll talk about that. Because he keeps bringing up dragon. I started going up to the Hoover Reservoir. Up in on the other side of Columbus there.
Yeah.
They stock blue cats. It's one of the I think 3 lakes that they're doing that now in Ohio.
Uh-huh.
And they started in, I believe, 2011 or 2009 or 2011. And there's 40-pound flatheads or blue cats in there now. There has been, they have been caught, but it's a lake. It's a lake, so you use the planer boards like he was talking about, and the Santee Cooper rig that Terry was talking about with the floats or the Demon Dragons. You're using a lot lighter weight, 1 or 2 ounce weight, and what I'll do is I'm not sure what those Abus hold. I use 40-pound big game on mine, mono, and I let out about half the reel.
He gets it way back there.
So it gets way out there.
Yeah.
And you're just dragging those baits along the bottom. But that float keeps them up off the bottom a little bit. Yeah, and you're going anywhere from 0.3, 0.5, somewhere around in that area.
Miles an hour.
That's what you're trying. You're just kind of drifting along.
Right.
But you're actually using your trolling motor to control drift, But anyway, it's very productive.
Cover a lot of water that way.
I think the biggest one I've caught up there so far is 17, but it's just fun. I mean, it's, you're trolling along and all of a sudden that rod just starts dancing and just, it's really a blast. And when we was catching those was in the winter and they were covered in mud. They were just laying on that bottom, buried in that bottom, waiting for something to come along. And it's a very productive way, and you can cover a lot of ground. But anyway, I ended up taking Roger up there, and I think there was something that you said you learned. I can't remember what it was. You said you said I finally taught you something.
Well, you teach me stuff every now and then.
Oh no, that was down at Greenup, wasn't it?
Oh, the suspended?
Yeah, the suspended thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was something different.
Yeah, the majority of my Ohio river fishing centers around the Greenup Dam, but we'd always go for sauger, saugeye, walleye, and striper.
Gotcha.
Me and my buddy, we loved sauger fishing. That was our favorite. Go up there in the middle of winter, snow blowing, build you a little fire, and just wait for them to move in, catch them until they were gone. That's what we would do.
That's another, back to the Ohio River. I know another guy. It's something that me and Roger really hasn't done a whole lot. But this other guy I know, he does it a lot, especially in the summer months, is drifting. He just drifts with his bait suspended straight underneath his boat. He'll let him hit the bottom, reel up a couple times, and he just drifts an area. You just let the current. You might use the trolling motor to slow you down to that 0.5 as you're going down the current,
Yeah.
And that's a very productive way to pick up blue cat or blues and channels. Every now and then they'll catch a flat.
Mm-hmm.
I think is there a guy Wildcatters TV? Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah, Steve Douglas.
Steve Douglas.
Oh yeah,
I've seen a lot of his videos. He does that drifting stuff quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, he's got a lot of content out there. That guy knows his stuff.
8-10 years worth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's when I first started, I guess, looking into catfishing a little bit on the river. He was the first set of videos I ever came across, and
same here.
Yeah, that's where we all actually started. Mm-hmm. I think Terry turned me on to him.
Yeah,
and it's so weird, like you were saying, how the old days of catfishing are over. That opened my eyes to what you guys are doing, because you're taking this fish that may have some misconceptions and making it really exciting.
It's when we're fishing a river, like Skip said, when that rod goes down, you don't know if it's a 5-pounder or a 50-pounder, and just having that, just knowing in the back of your mind that this could be a monster, that adrenaline rush, and even when you got them on the line, man, those fish fight so hard sometimes. This is nothing you can get out of a bass or a crappie or any other species around here. Maybe a carp will get big enough to give you that kind of fight, but that tug is our drug.
The tug is the drug. I like it. So what's your plans for the YouTube channel? You want to keep on making them throughout the summer, or?
Yeah. Actually, I hate to admit this, but I had lost an SD card that had a ton of content on it. And I could not find this card, and it was a micro SD card. And somehow I put the micro SD card in another reader. It was my Navionics chip. And so I never, ever used my Navionics chips because the micros are in the fish finders. And I finally stumbled across it, and I found all this content that I was like, man, I never got to put these videos out. I don't have a laptop, right? Which I'm over at Skip's now. We're talking on his laptop. I do every bit of my videos, editing, and everything off my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything done that you see so far has been done through a cell phone. And there's apps, I'm using all free apps. I'm, just doing the best I can with what I got. And, that's what I'm coming up with so far. And, but it does take a lot of time, editing the videos gets to be a little tedious at times, especially when you're only using a phone, that's very small, in comparison. So I got kind of back out of it. I lost my content. My boat broke down. It's been down for about 6 weeks now. It's driving me crazy. And, I had a transom crack on me I had to repair, and then I decided to do a complete remodel right in the best fishing of the year. I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, you're in the same situation I am, with the podcast thing. I've only got a laptop, and to do recordings is a little bit tricky. I know, again, all the software I'm using is free, so you have to kind of put up with some of the quirks to get through it. But
yeah.
I'm glad you're putting out the content, because that's that little area there sometimes I think gets overlooked for the quality that it can produce.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those fish you guys are catching are, in my eyes, they're lifetime fish for me.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the more people find out about that, it'll lead to better conservation, smarter choices by outdoors people. And just guys like you guys setting the example of, hey, take care of these fish. They're going to be here for a long time.
Right.
That's right.
I've talked about everything I want to talk about. Is there anything you guys want to, like a closing comment?
No, as you could tell, I mean, we're pretty passionate about catfishing. We could keep talking all night long, really. But for me, it's. I know you said catfishing ain't quite your thing, and a lot of people feel that same way. They just really don't have a feeling for it until they try it, until they hook into a good one, and then everything changes.
Until they get that tug drug.
So they get that tug drug, and then everybody wants to be a catfisherman. And you don't have to go out and buy all those big expensive rods and reels. And you can go to Walmart and pick up a rod and reel and catch most of the fish anybody wants to catch. You don't have to go 110% into it to be successful. You know what I mean? That's hard coming from me because I have way more gear than I need, but that's just how I am.
Right.
But, guys that just want to get out there and try to catch a good fish. And, honestly, just reach out, talk to somebody, hit somebody up, hit me up. People that are local to my area that want to go. I've got a ton of people that, want to fish together and that I have fished with. Man, I think I'm up to probably 5 or 6 guys now, YouTube alone, that I have, met up with and, lifelong friends, fishing buddies, off the YouTube. I never would have met them otherwise.
So, Roger, what's the best way to, like, if someone has a question, what's the best way to maybe get a hold of it? Is it through YouTube?
YouTube, yeah, Muskrat Adventures on YouTube. I got that name from my father-in-law.
I was going to ask you about that.
I just love the river. Once I started fishing the river, I just can't get enough of it. And just one day we were sitting there talking. He said, "Where you going? Fishing the river?" I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Yeah, you're like an old muskrat and just running up and down that river, ain't you?" And that just stuck. And I just thought it was funny. And it's not real glamorous, really. If you look at a muskrat, they ain't the coolest creature to name yourself after. But I just thought it was cool and it was different, so I went with it. Or if somebody wants to hit me up on Facebook, it's Roger Demint Jr. On Facebook. They can add me or send me a message on Messenger. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody, help anybody, fish with anybody that I can.
Fantastic. Guys, I know it's kind of late your guys' way. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Anytime.
After a little while, if you guys get out and fish and have a particularly good trip you want to talk about, have Skip get a hold of me and we'll sit down and talk again.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Real quick, I'll just say, because Roger mentioned, you don't have to have all the expensive gear and stuff. I still use those rip and lip rods. Partly the reason is because of the river I fish, and there's always the chance of losing everything. So I don't care to have $670 rods and $600 reels in my boat, and I don't have a very expensive boat. The motor that I built was only altogether maybe $1,500, and if you go and look at a 25 horsepower outboard, which would be around $5,000 to get, that's brand new, that's pretty cheap. And I think they talked about the tug being their drug. But I think for me, and I'm still a diehard catfisherman, I think for me it's more than that. And if you told me right now I could spend a day on the Ohio River or a day on the Scioto, I would say the Scioto, just because of the adventure. As soon as you get out of the city limits, it's barren wilderness. You'll see deers running around, a whole herd of deer running across the river, bald eagles, raccoons, everything, all night long. Don't hear cars. Don't hear anything like that. And then I'm chasing the apex predator, the lion of the savanna of the river, the flathead catfish. And there's nothing else like that flathead in that river. If you just, the fight in that river is very distinct. I don't know what it is. They have everything they need in that little river, and they are very, very strong. A 15-pounder feels like a 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when I started out, I bought 2 big game, Berkeley big game catfish rods that are $20 a piece, you know, and